Alibaba, meantime, better than expected numbers as we look at some earnings today. Revenue up 51, helped by growth in e-commerce and the cloud. As for U.S.-China trade, Joe Tsai did address that issue on the earnings call. Take a listen.
The trade talks put Alibaba on the right side of all of the issues on the table. The vexing issues in the trade negotiations will resolve themselves as the Chinese economy is already evolving to close the gap between the interests of the United States and China. This means in the future there will be bigger Chinese domestic consumption, more foreign imports, continuing focus on enhanced IP protection, and further digitization of industries driven by participation of the private sector.
Goes on to say, in short, the trade talks put Alibaba on the right side of all the issues on the table. David?
Yeah, listen, they come back to this theme, as you'd expect, of course, given their place in the Chinese economy. The idea that there is a transformation going on in China, of course, from an export-led economy to one that is going to consume more and more. And therefore, Alibaba will certainly benefit from that, as it has been benefiting from it with its increasing membership, its increasing use, of course, of those who use mobile devices to access the marketplace itself. And it's just overall increase 51% in overall revenue and annual average customer, active customers. But it also is seen as a proxy for sort of where things stand between the U.S. and China, and so the stock has been down a bit lately. You can see some of the key numbers there, all fairly strong, well received. I do want to say one thing, though, that may have knocked the stock down a bit, at least, because it did appear early on it was going to be up, and this has to do with a product recommendation feed that they recently launched, or not that long ago launched, on top of their popular search offering. This recommendation feed seen as sort of making the platform even more attractive to online brand advertisers and perhaps becoming a new revenue stream for Alibaba. On the call, they did say that they're not going to expand the monetization of recommendation fees in the coming fiscal year. And that did seem to disappoint some who saw it perhaps as a significant growth, a generator of growth. The number of paying merchants that generate customer management revenue increased during the quarter, which they believe does reflect improved merchant confidence in allocating marketing spending. And they said they're making progress on the monetization of recommendation feeds and enhancing recommendation algorithms, but again, not going to expand it in the coming fiscal year. Jim, stock had looked up. Now you can see up very little at this point. That may have tempered expectations just a bit because there was an expectation perhaps that would continue to increase.
Right. I mean, I know that they made a lot of their cloud business, like the Amazon Web Services, but geez, it's very small, David. I was surprised how small. I mean, obviously, look, the consumer's alive and well if you look at those numbers. But if you look at the numbers from the government last night, the consumer's not alive and well. It is so hard to get a read on this, but look, the one good thing is that Alibaba, when you read through it, it actually reads like a U.S. release. A lot of the Chinese companies that have been coming public, they don't read like anything that we have. So, I mean, this is one legitimate number, but I do think that the Amazon Web Services business is much stronger than the Alibaba Web Service business, and I think people expected more of what could come from the 47% that Amazon gets. Why isn't 47% growth for Amazon? These guys have fast growth, but David, it's not a lot of money.
What do you mean? What's not a lot of money? Sorry.
They don't make a lot of money on the web services business.
Oh, right.
Did you see that number?
Yeah.
It's surprisingly small.
It's not nearly the equivalent of the effort that Amazon has here in the States. However, they do have 721 million monthly active users, which is, another, I think, 104 million annually addition, and it went up, 22 million during the quarter, Jim. Those are some pretty big numbers. Just think about that. 721 million people, almost all of them in China, using the service at least once a month to buy something.
Well,
most likely.
I had Trade Desk on last night. The American, really, a lot of these American merchants want to sell into Alibaba. They want to sell Tmall. They think that Tmall is the place for their growth. Why? Because of that number you just gave, which is, wow. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, and if, in fact, it does become not that it's going to become a consumption-led economy anytime soon, but if that transition continues the way Joe Tsai talks about it so often, that should only grow in terms of the volume. So.